Okay. Ein weiteres langes Gespräch mit ihm ist durch. Jetzt reden wir mal mit Jod Catherine.
How may I serve you?
Jod nods warmly. How may I serve you? What services do you offer? I can sell you various divine spell scrolls. They are quite useful, even if you don't have anyone in your party who can read them. While you're in the settlement, or indeed any place with a cleric willing to help, you need only open your bag and choose the scroll you wish to cast. I'll be happy to read it for you. However, take care out there in the wilderness. A scroll is useless without someone who can read it. To use a scroll on your journeys, you'll need a spellcaster whose magical training covers such spells, or someone skilled in magical devices. I found the Temple of the Elk and killed the beast there.
Erastil be praised, you finally returned, my good friend. Christian told me how you helped him at the Temple of the Elk. Thank you for heeding my request. My heart is calm and filled with confidence that I've followed the will of my God. I would like to reward your bravery. I possess no treasure, but please take this as a token of appreciation. As far as I know, your next target looks to be the Stag Lord himself. With the Temple of the Elk cleansed of evil, the fog surrounding us should disperse to reveal the path to the brute's lair. Of course, magic so powerful is unlikely to disappear all at once. Bide your time. Follow up on other concerns while you wait. I will gladly aid you on your noble quest. Erastil himself foresaw our meeting.
Do you understand the true meaning of your visions now?
I trust in their truth. These visions, they were the voice of Erastil himself. Quiet but clear. Before all this happened, I believed Erastil had turned his back to me. But now, I see clearly. He has shown me divine mercy, for he has led me to you and invited me to aid in a fellow priest's deliverance. Lady Sarenrae and Erastil walk the paths of the gods hand in hand, and so must their servants as well.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone.
Christian is undoubtedly still very young, and youth is a time of naivete and confusion. But I see kindness and strength of spirit in him, traits indispensable to a priest. I sense that all that's transpired thus far is only the beginning, and the future promises great things for Christian and for you. This is why Erastil led me to the Temple of the Elk. Day and night I pray for you and for my young friend. May the Stag God lead you down the true path.
Nicht so schlimm momentan, na immerhin. Immerhin.
As you wish.
Tell me about the visions that led you to the Temple of the Elk.
That's why I'm here.
Ah.
As you wish.
Tell me about yourself, Jod.
What exactly would you like to know?
Tell me about your past.
My story? Why not? You deserve to know it. I am a priest of Erastil, and Galt is my homeland. You can imagine what it's like following the teachings of the Stag God in a realm torn by discord and strife. Rebellion and suspicion are the pillars of Galt. Led by Erastil, I tried to guide my flock to embrace tranquility and balance and guard them from hasty judgment, until I fell from grace myself. Foolish, foolish old Jod.
Was hat denn getrieben?
My misdeeds cast a shadow over my life and service. In search of redemption and a balm for my soul, I took to the road. I had come nearly to despair when Erastil sent me a vision of the Temple of the Elk. I knew that very moment that the Stag God had shown me the way to redemption.
What did you do to anger Erastil?
Well, if you truly wish to know, I'll have to start from the long time back. Werewolves preyed upon the lands around my village. They murdered people for fun or sport and left the corpses to rot on the roads. One night, They broke into a young woman's house and dragged her into the streets. One evening, a traveler came to our tavern, tattered and dirty from days on the road, like so many others roaming Galt. He sat quietly in the corner of the tavern, drinking cheap ale, and in an instant, I knew he was a werewolf. I felt it in my soul. It was like Erastil himself had whispered it into my ear. Led by Providence, I left to gather my flock, and we surrounded the tavern. The retribution was swift. However, I was tragically mistaken. The young man was no werewolf. He was a bandit, sent to spy on the village by one of the local gangs. We only found out after, when we went through his things.
I see. Please continue.
Whatever the case, I knew Erastil was no longer pleased with me. It was terrifying. Imagine how my mind raced when here in the Stolen Lands I heard the voice of the Stag God once again. He gave me another chance at service to atone for my guilt. Now I have regained hope, and that very hope is my most precious possession.
What can you tell me about your homeland, Galt?
For some, it is a land of freedom, where power belongs to the people, not to lords or kings. For others, it's a land of never-ending revolution, a realm surrendered to anarchy. It depends on who you ask. For me, I found Galt a violent place. Crowds eager to lynch a stranger for that accent or appearance, where a single word uttered at the wrong time or place can spark the people to riot and cities to burn. For me, it is a place inhabited by the frightened and the desperate, always suspicious, watchful of trickery. All too often they are deaf to the voice of reason. They cannot grasp that chaos and lawlessness lead only to yet more chaos and lawlessness. All my life I've tried to break through to these poor people, but alas, I don't seem to have made much progress.
That's enough for now.
As you wish.
Tell me about Erastil.
Of course. It would be my pleasure. Erastil is one of the eldest gods of Golarion. His faith emerged when the first people appeared upon the land. Erastil helped our ancestors cultivate the land and hunt. Even now, his blessing lies with those who uphold the old traditions and keep to simpler ways, far from civilization and the noise of the city.
What does Erastil demand of his faithful?
The word demand does not befit the Stag God. Honesty and friendship, loving families, merry weddings, and newborn children in their mother's arms, they bring a smile to Erastil's face. He loves his people and rewards them with fortunate hunts and plentiful harvests. But he has no temper for sloth and vanity. He never bestows gifts upon his faithful without first measuring their worthiness. We ourselves must win our daily bread, but the Stag God comes to our aid in times of need and strife.
Also ich muss sagen, im Spiel, wir haben ja viel zu viele Gespräche. Das sagt die Autorin. Ja. Oh, Buchautorin. Aber hat schon recht, ist ja halt ein klassisches RPG. Und es besteht halt zum großen Teil aus Kämpfen und Reden. Das will ich nicht sagen. Ich hasse Städte. I've always had respect for Erastil and his priests.
I see it more clearly every day. Erastil himself led me to meet you. Your keen spirit will serve you well.
To each their own. I wanted to ask you about something
I
else.
am happy to help.
I need the help of a cleric. Okay. So we can buy thousands of scrolls at him, from him. Scroll of Resurrection. 12,000? What? This spell functions like Raise Dead, except that you are able to restore life and complete strength to any deceased creature, even the ones killed by death, effect, or disintegration. Upon completion of the spell, the creature is immediately restored to full hit points, vigor, and health with no loss of prepared spells. A level 7 conjuration spell. Lesser... Okay, lesser restoration? Restoration, I see. Bücher und Spiele ist was anderes. Naja, Keks. Was ist denn für dich der ausschlaggebende Unterschied? Lesser Restoration dispels any temporary magical effects, reducing one of the subject's ability scores. Okay. Or cures 1d4 points of temporary ability damage. Eliminates fatigue. Interesting. Okay. Das wäre also, was er zu sagen hat. Hat Amiri irgendwas Neues zu sagen? Why do you want to kill this tusk gutter so much? He's a monster. We kill monsters. What's here so difficult to understand? Okay. Nothing more she wants to talk about. Okay. Wenn du verstehst. Aber kannst du nicht beides quasi miteinander kombinieren? Ah ja, mit Valerie haben wir auch noch nicht gesprochen. Oh mein Gott. Okay. Keks, mehr Texte. Greetings, Valerie sighs. Everything is well, I hope. I'm ready for new orders. Tell me about yourself. What exactly would you like to know? I was born to a noble family, though I didn't remain long on the family estate. My father sent me to the Order of the Eternal Rose, but I left once I realized that it didn't match my principles. Eternal Rose. Chalin, also known as... Oh, we already read that, right? Yeah. Where are you from? What was your childhood like? I was born in Prevoy, but in fact I've never seen much of the country. I spent my childhood on a remote estate owned by my noble family. My father is a respectable philanthropist and benefactor of the Church of Chalin. He's also a renowned private collector and great admirer of the house. Ich sehe gerade, ich muss mal kurz AFK gehen. Ich muss mal kurz AFK, bin gleich wieder da. Oh, bin ich wieder. Da verlierst du dann die Lust. Außer Cookie-Clicker am Handy. Ja gut, das ist ja dann... Da bist du ja jetzt schon... Wie will man es sagen? Da ist ja schon alles gelaufen bei dir. Ja? Cookie-Clicker am Handy. Keks. Aber es ist nie zu spät für dich. Es ist nie zu spät für dich, deine Fehler einzugestehen und wieder auf den rechten Pfad zurückzukehren. Ja. Danke, Keks. Danke. Yeah, I was born in Provence, but in fact never seen much of the country. I spent my childhood on a remote estate owned by my noble family. My father is a respectable philanthropist and a benefactor of the Church of Chelin. He is also a renowned private collector of grain and a great admirer of the arts. My mother saw to my education personally. From my early years I learned good manners, how to behave at the dinner table and the proper form of words for every occasion. I also learned the difference between true nobles and low-born upstarts, and I learned how to treat each of them properly. Our home was always under the protection of several paladins of Chelin. My father has donated a handsome sum to their order, and one of them, a man of venerable age with grey hair, with a grey beard, once let me touch his shining armor. I still remember the admiration I felt when I touched the cold polished steel. Valerie smiles. Of all the memories of my childhood, that one is somehow the warmest one. Die Babs zum Beispiel, die hat ja jetzt wieder mit WoW angefangen, Keks. Ja. Ne? Kannst hier mal drüber nachdenken. Wir können auch mal Among Us spielen, das ist auch sehr witzig. Keks, das kostet doch bis 4 Euro. Und ich glaube, das sollte sogar mit deinem Internet funktionieren. Mhm. Why were you sent to the Paladin Order of the Eternal Rose? As you can imagine, from my first days I was surrounded by crowds of servants and nannies who never stopped praising my heavenly beauty. The paladins of Chelin who used to visit our house echoed these praises. In the end, general consensus overwhelmed my father's better judgment. When I turned 6, I was brought to the Church of Chelin and told that this would be my new home. Don't pity me though, I beg of you. Many who hear this story immediately assume that my parents were cruel and had no love for their child. Valerie's eyes become stern. My parents had respect for me. They taught me something that was supported me all my life, a sense of self-esteem. Du fängst wow nicht mehr an. Nie wieder. Nie wieder. Nie wieder, niemals nicht. Besides, they didn't abandon me. Once every 6 months, they would come and visit me at the Order of the Eternal Rose. We had some tea and then had an hour to walk around the garden. Then they would take their leave, as etiquette demanded. Wow. What did they teach you in the Order? A variety of things. Some of them appealed to me, others I simply couldn't accept. I enjoyed the physical activities and swordmanship, but the arts, calligraphy, painting, poetry, and so many other ways to waste one's time. Valerie sighs. I guess that deep in my heart I always knew I'd never be a true paladin of Chelin. Wielding a sword always felt more natural to me than handling a paintbrush. Denkst nicht? Gucken wir mal. Gucken wir mal, Keks. Gucken wir mal. Why did you leave the Order? Because of my heavenly beauty. Valerie winces in contempt. According to Chelin's law, all art is sacred, whatever form it takes. Severe punishment awaits those who dare harm a painting, sculpture, or poem, no matter how worthless the drivel might be. My looks always attracted unwanted attention from the pilgrims and acolytes at the temple. I received my first poem dedicated to me when I was 9. The author was some wealthy geezer. Valerie's lips thin in contempt, and that was only the beginning. Sculptures, pictures, poems. I was drowning in them. My admirers mobbed me, and I had to respectfully accept all their garbage. The clerics of the temple were magnanimous, for my suitors made generous offerings to the church. But one time I just snapped. Magnanimous. Magnanimous? Muss ich mal googeln. Was heißt magnanimous? Großherzig, großzügig. Keks. Magnanimous. Großherzig, großzügig. Barely suppressed anger glitters across Valerie's eyes. Some wealthy idiot has dedicated an extremely untalented poem to me, and he had the nerve to read it right to my face, holding my sleeve. The hour was late and I was on my way to get some rest after a boring lessons on rhymes. I lost control and tore the poem apart, right in front of him. Valerie raises her head proudly. The paladins wanted to impose some punishment upon me. I don't remember which one exactly. They wanted me to repent. Instead, I just gathered my things and left. What did you do after you left the order? I set off for Restov. Valerie shrugs. I wanted to get as far away as possible from Shelyn and the destiny everyone seemed so ready to force upon me. Besides, the school of swordsmanship in Restov has quite a decent reputation. Honestly, I was hoping for an opportunity to learn from the famous Aldari masters. Eventually, it became clear that their technique wasn't a good fit for me. They teach to avoid impact, whereas I prefer to raise my shield. But my abilities and skills, which I had learned at the Order of the Eternal Rose, were enough to make the Sword Lords take an interest in me. They offered me a chance to join the mercenaries who served the Sword Lords, and I accepted. I bet your beauty inspired many people in the Order. Valerie's gaze suddenly becomes cold. And here I had hoped to avoid the question. She exhales loudly. Well, let's get this over with, once and for all. You should understand that I'm perfectly aware that most races, orders and genders find me physically attractive. It's beyond my power to change that, but I've never given a potential admirer any reason to start a conversation with me. But it doesn't stop them. After leaving the order, I took a dagger and cut off the long hair they used to praise. Well, now I get letters praising the beauty of my eyes. It was because of my appearance that I ended up in the Order of the Eternal Rose, though I never wanted to be a paladin. It was because of my beauty that an infinite number of suitors have pursued me, all of them confusing simple politeness with hints of affection. Valerie clenches her fists. But do you know what I really want? I want people to stop treating me like a piece of art. I want them to notice that I'm a person, that I'm capable of something more than smiling for paintings, where I sit wearing a lacy satin dress, holding a basket of peaches in my lap. Isn't that too much to ask? The question comes out in a shout, though Valerie doesn't seem to realize it. Thank you for your honesty. I understand you very well. You are a true friend who I can trust with my life. I am truly happy that you understand me. Thank you. Valerie smiles at you gratefully, and the smile is full of warmth and you've never expected from someone as stern as Valerie. You suddenly realize that you are smiling back at her. Let's change the subject. Tell me about the way of Shelyn and about her paladins. Shelyn is a goddess of love, beauty and art. Her paladins are something like armored artists. That's how they like to think of themselves, at least. Valerie tries to contain her feelings, but her inner contempt bursts forth. They are fanatical defenders of worthless, inartistic paintings and meaningless opuses, if you care to know my opinion. Keks, ich werde mir nochmal Wasser holen. Einen Moment. You speak of Shelyn with such contempt. What did the goddess of beauty do to earn your anger? He's been trying to ruin my life, Valerie snorts. Shelyn, the goddess of everything useless that ever existed in this life. All the beauty in the world, all the art, all the soulful sighs in the moonlight. They never feed a single family. And I beg you to restrain yourself from offering your own opinion. Trust me, I've heard everything you can tell me more than once. Nothing and nobody can change my mind. Valerie looks at you with suspicion. As for Shelyn, she's the goddess of idlers. I almost joined her preposterous entourage. I'm just glad I was smart enough to denounce her while I still could. Danke, Keks! What do paladins of Shelyn usually do? They wander around, seeking the next pile of garbage. And when they find it, they call it an immortal piece of art, and admire it until they are blue in the face. You might not believe this, but the paladins of Shelyn aren't allowed to slay their enemies if they beg for mercy. Can you guess why? Because a bandit, rapist or murderer who has been put to the sword will never be able to create something beautiful in the future. So a paladin overpowers her enemy in battle, then inspires him to create a masterpiece. Valerie's face reflects extreme disgust. It might sound hilarious if it weren't true. Plus, all of Shelyn's followers are obliged to practice some sort of art in his or her free time. Every single day, no matter what else is going on, even if you're feeling sick or hungry or sleepy. Otherwise, according to their clerics, you lose your connection with your goddess. A preposterous notion, wouldn't you agree? I understand that not every piece of art is good or even decent, but surely there must be at least a few great works among them. Is that what you think? Valerie curves an eyebrow, mocking amazement. Many share that delusion. I was deluded too for a while. Now I consider all works of art useless. People create this garbage because they have nothing better to do. The peasant doesn't paint a picture, he plows the earth to feed his family. The soldier has no time for sculpture, he must defend his homeland. But idlers and slackers have plenty of time to waste, so they smear canvases with paint and imagine they've done something worthy and valuable. Valerie shakes her head in disapproval. You said that every paladin must practice some kind of art. What kind of art did you pursue? That! I used to embroider. And I still do from time to time. A treacherous blush covers Valerie's cheeks. It's nothing, I assure you. Just a simple task to keep my hands busy and keep the gloomy thoughts at bay. Nothing special. Embroider. Keks. Embroider. Sticken. Sticken. Keks. Sie stickt. Embroider. Sticken. Oder wie auch immer man es aussprechen möchte. Let's talk about something else. So you're an atheist? Atheist? You don't worship any deity? Right. I need no guidance from above. I have my own good conscience and my leader's orders to live by. You know, you don't have to follow etiquette and maintain good manners while speaking with me, if you don't want to. I'm aware of that, Valerie sighs. But I'm sure you understand that I am what I am. That's how I was brought up. First by my parents and then by my mentors in the order. Besides, I was born to a noble family. Valerie raises her chin proudly. So I rather enjoy the idea that my manner of speech differs a bit from the common language of the peasantry. You just can't imagine how many social climbers have bowed politely the moment I opened my mouth. I guess you have plenty of suitors. Valerie rolls her eyes. Sadly, you're right to suppose that. Even here, in these remote lands, one can find offspring of many noble houses, and all of them consider it their duty to kneel before me, begging me to walk with them in the garden. Valerie's voice overflows with contempt. If words were poison, you'd be dying a horrible death. Oh, and don't forget about the village oaths. They understand the concept of nobility perfectly well, so they realize they'll be punished if they dare make any advance towards me. So they prefer to stare from a distance, drooling. And believe me, I can very well imagine what they discuss in the taverns. Valerie shivers and jerks her shoulders as if trying to shed the sticky, disgusting stares. Ja, wir wissen alle, wie sich solche Leute unterhalten. Ne? Ich glaube, so weit werden wir mal nicht gehen. You are so eager to follow my orders, why? What do you mean, why? Valerie looks at you in bewilderment. I follow your orders. I've joined your campaign because I have faith in you. I believe your intentions to be noble, though things may not always turn out as you've planned. You are my commander. Your orders are law. It's my duty to follow them. Valerie hesitates for a moment. Well, so long as you don't order me to do something that's absolutely dishonorable. But that would never happen, I hope. Okay, wir reden mit ihr drüber. You know you're really quite beautiful. You're a reliable friend and a worthy ally. But would be a crime to ignore your beauty. Valerie gives you a stony look. I sincerely hope your words carry nothing more than mere politeness. For the moment, yes, I'm not going to stalk you like your admirers, but I wanted you to know that I've noticed you. And what if I meant something else? Are you afraid to yield to temptation? I know you have plenty of suitors, but I'm not afraid of competition. Na, wir gehen mal mit... Well, yes, that's what I meant. That is good. Valerie nods. In that case, I thank you for the compliment, and would ask that you never bring up the subject again. Okay, thank you for the conversation. Talk to you later. As you wish. Valerie nods with dignity.